All right. Hello, everyone. This is Forlorn Scout, um, and this is the MekHQ series that I was talking about in the last episode. If you watched it, if you didn't, again, like I said at the last episode, I don't blame you. That's just kind of like it was my rambly video about where have I been and kind of what this series is, and um, quick overview. This is MekHQ. It's BattleTech. Um, mech combat in space is essentially the long short of it. Playing as mercenaries, but so on and so forth. We're going to need to start the contract here. So we have this guerrilla warfare contract that I brought up so that we can try and liberate Killbourn from the might of the Draconis Combine. Now, spoiler alert, we won't be able to do that. But that's just because we can't actually affect anything on the map. We can't, like, take planets. Because this is all set up off of, like, historical map data. So, unfortunately, we won't be able to actually affect anything. But we'll try. We will give it our best. Colonel James Kincaid here, with his merry band of former Star League Defense Force personnel and other people who rallied to his banner against the Draconis Combine, are going to give it their best shot and see how long we can last in this the ruins of a crumbling empire. Sorry, I had to stretch there. But anyway, so we don't need to go anywhere for this contract because this is, of course, we're already here. So the only thing I think I need to do is advance the day. But before that, just one thing. You might notice this thing over here. This is GM mode. GM being Game Master, and essentially that allows me to have a little more control over things, if needed. So even though I'm the player, I can also act as Game Master, so I can do lots of other stuff. So, like if I went to finances here, I can add or subtract money as needed. I won't be doing that. Or I can, if I was to say, we're actually over here on this system here, then I could just say we're just going to move there. It just gives me more control. It allows me to do things that if the game maybe bugs out or it kind of sends out scenarios that are way too hard, it allows me to have a little more control over the game itself. And it's just what I usually do. I think most people who play MekHQ do that. It just makes everything easier. This is not a perfect game. It's made free. It's a free game made by BattleTech enthusiasts. If you like BattleTech and you haven't played it, I suggest you do it. Or if you at least play the MekHQ side, which is just kind of the actual playing with the mechs in a virtual kind of simulation kind of deal. But anyway, so I guess enough stalling. The contract, quote unquote contract, the Killbourn Resistance will start in 3 days. And before that, we don't really have anything else to do. So we're going to see how long these intrepid soldiers of a dead nation can survive in this new and what's going to increasingly become a horrific world for humanity. But we are just going to advance. Personnel market. If we wanted to, we could pick up some more people, but we don't need to. So it's the third. I'm just gonna save again. You're gonna see me save quite a bit. It's similar reason for the GM stuff, just because sometimes the game gets a little wonky, and sometimes it's just easier for me to reload. And so anyway, so contract has started. We are apparently still losing money, which is a little surprising. Let's see here. Interesting. I don't know why we need 3. I think that's just maximum. So for frontline, we are going to put our Recon Lance, Beta Lance, which is commanded by Lieutenant Senior Grade Dale Shabana here in his Mongoose. The Recon Lance is going to, this is the map, by the way. See here, our strategic objectives appear to be engage and defeat hostile forces in 3 scenarios in Sector 0, which is this sector here, and then engage and defeat hostile forces in 1 scenario. I think those will probably fulfill themselves quite easily. We just have to be, we just have to win, essentially. Which is, I guess easier said than done. So we are going to assign this new system. It used to just be where, when I first started playing MekHQ, it used to just generate missions that you could then assign units to, and that's that. It's a little more in depth now. I'm just trying to see what would be the best thing. I don't think we need 3 units. If it is, that might be a problem. And if it is, you'll probably see a cut, and a slightly different contract will be here. All right, and I am back. So you will probably notice a cut in the video, and that is going to be for a couple reasons. You might also notice it's a new day. So the reason for the cut, like I believe I was saying last night, actually, I don't remember, was I was going to get this mission started here, and if there were any issues, just need to make sure of something here. Everything looks fine. Anyway, and if there was any issues, I would cut it, and then we would go from there. So what has happened is I ran into an issue last night in regards to forces that can be deployed, and then issues with the TOE. Additionally, I added some stuff here before starting. So one issue I had is the transport group here with the dropship. I still had marked as just a normal combat team, so when I had accepted the contract, it was requiring me to have 3 units doing something, having some sort of role on the battlefield, and I couldn't figure out why, because that wasn't the case before with MekHQ. You didn't need to have like a maximum, or like not a maximum, a minimum of units, other than having units doing specific things. So that was a change. The TOE roles are a change. And so I was fiddling around with that last night. I actually had to ask a question on the MekHQ Discord, and it was just me. I just didn't read, and so it's fixed. So now we only have our 2 units, our 2 lances here, which will actually be doing stuff. The transport group is going to stay out of it, because last thing I want is to lose the dropship. Additionally, I did change some things. So some of our pilots here, I did change names and change portrait or two, I think, and added some personality stuff. I didn't go into super in depth with it. I changed the names in part because I actually had a set of names I was going to use, just because based on pilots I had in my Rogue Tech Online playthrough, when Rogue Tech Online was doing First Succession War, and I thought it was appropriate to use some of those pilot names again, or at least some of them. Some of them are tweaked just because some of the last names were kind of weird, and I couldn't pronounce them. So, which is a running theme with this channel. I can barely speak English, and it's my first language. But anyway, so where we left off was we are, I think, 2 days, yes, 2 days from starting the contract, quote unquote contract. It's basically just a 1-unit guerrilla war on Killbourn. And I did quickly write something, so before we go any further, I will read it. I think I got all the typos and stuff, but just as a little background, while I was trying to figure out why the contract wasn't working, I was thinking about this stuff as well while I was waiting for an answer to a couple questions I had asked. So we, of course, are playing as the 801st Killbourn Combat Group, and the 801st Killbourn Combat Group was born out of combining, of course, and then there's a typo immediately. So I will change that, change description. Killbourn Combat was born out of the combining of the remains. Actually, no, that is it right? The 801st Killbourn Combat Group was born out of combining of the remains. I don't know if that's really correct. That's a little whatever, but we're going with it. We're doing this live. Was born out of the actually probably would just be easier to say out of the remains. That's actually a better way to do it. See, we are doing this live. So the 801st Killbourn Combat Group was born out of the remains of the SLDF 801st Royal Striker Battalion, the Killbourn Planetary Militia, and the recently released Ameris Empire soldiers, all of whom chose to stay to defend the hegemony instead of leaving with Kerensky. Again, like I think I said previously, Alexander Kerensky, for those that don't know, he was the kind of commander of the SLDF, and when the Civil War was over, instead of staying, he decided to go into exile and took most of the SLDF with him, instead of leaving with Kerensky. This choice would turn out to be less than ideal, to say the least. Forces loyal to House Krita, of course, Draconis Combine, for those that don't know, namely elements of the Dieron regulars, would invade Killbourn. The 801st, while well-trained, experienced, and still fairly well-equipped, would be overwhelmed in a surprise assault. Most of the unit was either destroyed, taken prisoner, or otherwise separated from each other. Colonel James Kincaid, who was our, of course, commander, would form the survivors into a working, albeit small, unit to continue the battle for Killbourn and hopefully rescue any of their comrades. Despite losing the opening battle, the survivors are still well-equipped and highly motivated. Whether they will be successful in defeating the dragon is another matter entirely. So that's kind of the quick background I came up with for the unit. So anyway, that's going to be enough of my rambling on. We are going to, I'm just going to save that quick. As you can see, I have a bunch of different saves because I was testing out different contracts and all sorts of stuff. So we are, I think, one more day, and then, okay, so we have this, and so how it works in MegaMek now, for actually a little while now. It used to just generate missions for you to do, and then you would use whatever forces you had to, complete the mission, whatever objective was set out. But now there is this area of operations, which of course is kind of like you could say like a world map. And we have specific things we need to do. So we need to have 2 units doing things, which is fine. We need one that's on frontline, which says here, this force gains points based on its commander's tactic skill. These points can be spent to place mines before a scenario or to support the force with infantry or battle armor from elsewhere in your TOE, which of course we don't have, but we need him in the front line. And then I'm actually still not really sure what's the best thing to do here, but I guess we'll put the command lance on patrol stance. So we are fulfilling our deployment requirements. I'm not really sure a good way to, or a good place to drop here, but I will start with putting our recon lance down and going from there. It actually might be preferable. I'm just going to extend. Okay, so they've returned from deployment. We have 2 additional support points. I don't know, is it here? Yes, so we have 2 support points. What I am actually going to do is I'm going to put our command lance on the front line, because that makes a little more sense, and then our recon lance on patrol, because patrol allows you to see, when you drop the unit, it allows you to see all the hexes around it. So I'm going to drop another save. There may be points where I reload a save, just because the game generates something that feasibly can't be won. This goes along with my kind of, I am the game master. I am player and game master. And so while I'm fine taking hard engagements, I'm not fine with the game generating an engagement where it's like destroy all of the enemy and it's, like 24, 100-ton assault mechs, I don't think the game can do that, but on the off chance it does, I do make saves, and then if there is ever a cut, it'll be me reloading. Where to drop? I think I'll just... So we have something here. We have a mission. So we have a tactical withdrawal, which apparently is a turning point. Ooh, and there's a lot of stuff here. So we have, let's see here, superior enemy forces in pursuit, intent on overwhelming and eliminating your units before they can escape. Your mission is to break free and reach the opposite edge of the engagement zone. With at least 50% of your forces intact, survival and mobility are your priorities. This is not a battle of attrition. Expect the enemy to use speed and encirclement tactics and suppression fire to slow your advance. They have the numbers, but you have the initiative. Use terrain, evasive maneuvers, and covering fire to outmaneuver them. If they manage to pin you down, your escape will become far more difficult. Keep moving and do not allow them to dictate the fight. The enemy will control the battlefield at the end of the engagement, meaning there will be no chance to recover fallen assets. This is a fight for survival. Get clear, regroup, and live the fight another day. Okay, so this is basically a situation where we need to run away, brave Sir Robin, run away quickly. So we have the enemy officer here, who is actually quite a green pilot in a Thunderbolt 5S. We have a grouping of tanks here. Tanks, while not as dangerous as a mech, generally speaking, they can be some tanks are kind of nuts. They're can be very heavily armored and heavily armed. So we have some recon mechs here. Okay, just a couple wasps. That's no big deal. Wasp and a stinger. and then a Rhino support tank. Okay, so this is not that big of a deal. The fast mechs are kind of actually a big deal because we're going to need to we are going to need to get away from that. So I think what I'm going to do here is I am going to save. Yes, going to save, and because I'm fine with this engagement. I think, I mean, I don't think totally, but I do think that if I was to deploy all these units, I think we'd have a pretty good chance of actually just outright destroying the enemy. Because the most dangerous thing on the field, I think, would be these tanks, not this heavy scout hover tank, but the bulldogs and the Berk are pretty dangerous. The wasps and the stingers, those are like 20-ton light mechs, so those are, you know, not an issue. The Thunderbolt is kind of scary, and the Rhino support tank is. I'm trying to think what that. I think that has some LRMs on it. That is a pretty good vehicle. But I'm also saving in part because I don't exactly know how this works. So we're going to be doing this together, and if I do something wrong, I will change things just because I think we're going to have enough time. Okay, so Beta is back. So I think I'm going to do this mission with Beta. So they have some fatigue, but that's not a problem. Because we're just bravely running away. And I think I don't want to remove the scenario. I want to add a unit to it, which I think I can do here. Add force icon. I wonder if it's because I have this one on the front line. I mean, if I have to fight with the command lance, that's not an issue. Manage deployment. I will. Okay, so I think. Okay, so they're deployed to the combat. Let's look at the briefing room. Because we're just going to need to run away. So I think I'm just going to save the campaign here. Again, in case I do something wrong. Going to advance a day. All right, and now we get to actually play on the map, although this isn't exactly the strongest first mission. I just want to look at what our objectives are. So we need to escape with at least 50% of our force. And that's basically it. We just need to run away. So I think that's it. So let's start the game. Uh-oh. Intends on overwhelming and eliminating your units before they can escape. Your mission is to break free and reach the opposite edge of the engagement zone with at least 50% of your forces intact. Survival and mobility are your priorities. This is not a battle of attrition. Okay, interesting. So we already have, this was what we already kind of went over. So we will commence the drop and bring up MekHQ here. All right, so just a cut here. All right. All right, so I believe this is recording. So if I had wanted to check to see if this was picking it up. It should, because I'm just recording my entire desktop because I'm not really sure of a good way to record record MekHQ just because it's technically multiple applications. But anyway, so this is our mighty force that's going to be bravely running away from this, and the Rhino support tank's actually heavier than I thought it was. I thought it was a 70-ton vehicle. It's 80 tons. But as you can see, they pretty severely out-ton us, and those tanks are actually very scary. The heavy scout tank hover, heavy scout hover tank, I should say, is actually actually pretty scary. Eventually, I will add call signs to these guys, but as you can see, the actual mechs are not that big of a problem. Let's see here, how fast does the tank move? So that's a 3.5, which is how many hexes it can move. So that's very slow. The hover tank is pretty fast. It's 4.6. That's kind of like standard heavy mech kind of speed. 2.3, that thing's ridiculously slow. And you can see 6.96. Why is it 5.85 as well? Huh, interesting. I'm not sure why it's showing that. But anyway, so we have these mechs here. These mechs are really, these mechs down here and this heavy scout tank are essentially the only things that can keep up with our units. Because I think the slowest thing here, the slowest thing is a Sentinel. Otherwise, we're moving 812, 812, and 812. So I am going to want to make sure here that the game options are okay. I believe this is all stuff that you have to do yourself still. And I haven't really touched MegaMech in the newest version yet, so I apologize if I'm just kind of stumbling through. All right, and I'm back. I think I have everything. I think I have everything set up correctly. So all we have to do is, I think, start here. This should. And there's the very loud beep. I forget how to turn that off. One moment. All right, and sorry for the other cut. I wanted to get rid of that pinging sound because it's just, I find it personally kind of annoying. But this is the battlefield here. Has trees, some marshes, a little hilly. It's 36 degrees centigrade. It's a little heavier than standard Earth gravity. It's of course daylight. The atmosphere is a little thin. Otherwise, it's pretty clear. So we will hit done here, and then we should start to have our deployment. I think I'm going to, I guess what would be the easiest? This looks like a pretty clear path up the board, so put the mongoose there. We will put the locust, put the Mercury. Put the Mercury there because I want less obstruction for the Sentinel because it's a little slower. Ooh, hello there. All right, so I don't think, yeah, so we just have the enemy heavy mech here that's on the board right now. So interesting. Move this over here. We're not going to be fighting this again. This is just a mission to run away as quickly as possible, which we will be doing. So there goes Jefferson, and then we have Gregory here. Gregory is going to be doing the same thing in his little Locust 1V. Alejandra here will be doing something similar, although she has mask, so I wonder... extras. Don't know how you activate or unactivate the mask. I've actually never really used mask, so not actually entirely certain how you use it. Okay, well, I guess I'll figure it out. Oh, I see. It just adds to the amount you can sprint. So we won't do that. We'll just run them up the board like that, and I guess we'll put the Sentinel into kind of like a defilade like that. Oh, actually, I don't need this. So I'll put this over here and the map right there. I kind of wish I had a bigger screen, but unfortunately, I just have a laptop, so it is what it is. So no one's going to be firing. Not that we'd have like any weapons in range. Now, hopefully... Actually, I wonder if you can twist. Oh, interesting. Okay. So maybe we will be firing back with something. I think we're going to do a double shot here. Hopefully nothing jams and hopefully no one dies. So we are going to be done firing. Okay, and let's look at the round report here. So the Thunderbolt fired the large laser at the Mercury, did nothing, and then he actually has heat-seeking ammunition's LRM, and he also missed with that. But our autocannon 5 from the Sentinel actually hit one shot to the right leg of this mech, did a little damage. So first blood of the campaign goes to Gregory, I believe. Yeah, no, it goes to Gustav Schulz. So, advance here. Unfortunately, now that it's round 2, we have some other... Yeah, there's all the tanks. But we are just going to keep running. Bravely running away is the plan. That doesn't really obscure anything. That's a problem. I think we're running a little slower just because we I'm kind of hoping we don't lose the Sentinel here. It'd be unfortunate. So we're going to just pop off another burst with the Ultra Autocannon and hope for the best. Uh-oh, I saw some problems. And he's prone. Uh-oh, I don't like that. So let's see here what happened. So Thunderbolt fired at him. He missed. The One of the bulldogs fired, missed. The other bulldog fired and missed, but the Burke defense tank fired a PPC at the left arm. Actually, two PPCs. So the arms are damaged. And he took enough damage to fall. Unfortunately, it looks like he actually lost the Ultra Autocannon 5, so that's amazing. First damage also goes to Gustav Schulz, so that's fun. Let's see if he can actually get up. Of course, now the scout mechs are also on the field, so this is a problem and a half. We are just going to keep running away. Because staying and fighting is just going to be a problem. I'm going to do Control K because that thing is getting in the way, so we can get rid of that. Let's see if he can get up and then continue to move. Needs a 5, which he successfully did. Let's see here. Oh, interesting. Their heavy scout tank failed their piloting check and actually slipped into a hill. This is really not a good engagement for Gustavs here. And it looks like the Ultra Autocannon is it damaged or destroyed? It would appear to be destroyed, which is not great. Those are rare weapons. Looks like he lost his right arm. Did anything else? Nothing else hit him. Gustavs for the win. And he didn't get kicked by the Wasp. Perfect. So he has no arms left, but he's going to keep running. Essentially, we just need to get to the top of the board, which is one of the reasons I'm kind of just sprinting with these other 3 mechs just up the board. Unfortunately, that means Gustav's is let's actually get him into those woods. So he has a little cover. I'm hoping the Sentinel makes it out, although I'm not banking on it. Left leg took some damage. That's all that fired at him. So he's taking fire, and that's not great. But hopefully we can finish this once these guys get off the board. Let's path around the swamp. Yeah, we just got to keep running with Gustavs. This is not the most interesting fight, but he's being chased down by these light mechs, which is unfortunate because they're basically the same speed he is. But just have to keep running because our lives do depend on it. We have to try and liberate Killbourn from the dragon. Whether that is, of course, successful, like I said, that's another matter entirely. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Does that obscure him from anything? That will. I think I'll do that. Then we will just skip fire on everyone, because I don't think, unless Gustav's here, no, nothing's going to be in range. So they're still missing all their attacks, which is excellent. It's already going to be a pretty expensive repair because he's lost his arms and the ultra autocannon. Just try and get the rest of Beta Lance up the field as quickly as possible to get us off the board, and then we should be good. I think everyone else is going to be out of range at this point because we're outpacing them. So we will skip fire, and I think next turn we will be able to get off the field. And I'm hoping that if I did the settings correctly, things will get off. Of course, there's that tank, 80-ton tank, coming to ruin the party. The question is, trying to think if I have to do this. I think I have to do this in. So if I move here, I can flee. Yes. Okay, perfect. So our mongoose is off the board. That's a problem. What does this thing have on it? LRMs. Okay, we're gonna want to get into minimum range with that thing, I think, since we can't get off the board with these guys immediately. Oh well, get off the board with the Mercury. I wonder if that will put us under 50%. Unfortunately, it seems it does not. So that's an issue. I guess our Locust here is going to just plink off a shot at this this assault tank here. And he actually hit, so that's amazing. And then the tank missed with everything at him, so hopefully, okay, so they quote-unquote won, but we got off the board. I don't want to save the GIF. I will do that. I don't need to save that, actually. Okay. I mean, always retains control of the battlefield. Do you want to declare your side as controlling the battlefield? No. So let's see here. So the Sentinel did take pretty significant damage. Lost both of his arms, lost the armor for his right torso, and the armor for his right leg. The Ultra Autocannon 5 unfortunately was destroyed, so at some point we may have to start refitting this mech into something else. I'm going to try and keep everything as standard as possible for as long as possible, although if parts get a bit iffy, I will switch the mech. I will switch out the loadouts, make custom refits, and then go from there, just to keep everything running. Let's see here. So there's that, and no one else took any damage. Gustav's has a single hit, so he's a little wounded. So we reached the north of the board, so we won. Preview. we did win, and I'm not going to call it a decisive victory. I'd call it a decisive victory if we just got off the board with no issues, but that's not exactly true. So let's see here. Let's make this a little shorter, I think. Yep, there we go. So is that preview? And we did win, so finish. Gustavs gets a Purple Heart for being wounded. I will issue the reward. I will issue the little cut there just because the thing closed and I had Discord open. So we have won that scenario. It is a victory. I wonder if it will say. So we have one campaign victory point, and this actually fulfills one of our strategic objectives for the game. Now, we're going to have to wait for... I think we're going to have to wait for Beta Lance to get back. Yeah, because there's nothing here, so I will save. And we will advance the day. We'll assign Gustavs here to our doctor, or one of our doctors. Puncture wound to the right arm. That's less than ideal, but we will advance the day. Okay, so there's some maintenance. Looks like Black Knight has improved. For whatever reason, the quality ratings in Battletech are kind of backwards, for those that don't know. The F is best, A is worst. Why that's the case, I'm not really sure. But it looks like some of our mechs here and their Union dropship are doing okay. So we'll do that. I think I'm going to extend maintenance out a little bit. All right, so Beta is back. So Gustav is going to be in the infirmary, and we're going to need to fix our sentinel here. So we have our tech here, who is failing, losing armor. We fixed it finally. It's 1 point of armor. Come on, this is one of the problems I have with MegaMech or MekHQ is you have mech techs and then they can't actually fix the mechs. All right, and we're back. Sorry for another cut there. Had to go deal with something quick. Anyway, so we're going to need to fix the sentinel here, and the tech I assigned to it is having some issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a better pilot for this. Field workshop. Can I suppose we don't really have anything else, so. Part destroyed. Very nice. Awesome. So I will order that. Hopefully we can get that, otherwise the Sentinel's going to be out of commission, pretty much. Alright, so just get some of the better mech text just to finish kind of working on it here. Or as much as we can. So the mech is basically fixed, other than the right arm is missing, which is a problem, but it'll be fine for now. We'll just save the campaign here. Alright, I am back. after I had saved the game here, you can see quite a bit of time has passed. I just got stuff came up. I had some stuff I had to go out and do. And then I was eating dinner, and then I just was hanging out for a while, and I had kind of forgotten that I still had this episode going. So I think we were just going to advance the day, because I think everything was pretty much done. So they need to... And we're going to wait on the arm. Hoping for... let's see here. Hoping for a good roll with the arm. Let's see here. Oh, 140 days. Perfect. I love that. So that's improving. That's improving. The Mercury and the Sentinel are improving. Let's see here. So I'm going to save the campaign again. And I think for this episode, I'm going to leave it off. I know I just came back, but for this episode, I'm going to leave it off just so the first episode isn't too long, and then I will start up the second episode here in just a second. I don't think that one will be too long. I'll try to keep them probably like the Divide and Conquer episodes. I'll try and keep them to about a half hour to maybe an hour or something like that. But anyway, I hope, despite the 20 million cuts in the first episode, I hope people enjoyed it. If there's any suggestions or tips or anything anyone is curious about, go ahead, leave a comment. No pressure to do so, of course. But again, I hope everyone enjoyed. I hope everyone has a good rest of their day after watching this, and I will see you next time.